Welcome back. So increasing tensions in the Arctic. This after Russia and China sent warships on a patrol and exercise very close to Alaska, forcing the United States to send 4 naval destroyers and a P-8 reconnaissance plane to monitor Moscow and Beijing's ships. Correspondent Sarah Williamson joins us live from our New York newsroom. Sarah, what more can you tell us about this historic move by China and Russia, and also what's being called a provocative move as well?
Well, it is being called provocative indeed, John, and although it may be historic, it's actually not the first time that this has happened. What's concerning about it this time round, though, is the context in which the patrol is being conducted. These 11 Russian and Chinese vessels near the Alaskan coast were enough to prompt the US to deploy 4 Navy US destroyers and a P-8 Poseidon aircraft in response. The US Northern Command is confirming the operation, saying that the patrol remained in international waters and is not considered a threat. Similarly, the spokesperson for the Chinese embassy says that the joint maritime patrols in the Western and Northern Pacific Ocean are not targeted at any third party and has nothing to do with the current international and regional situation. But this is still raising concerns with analysts, though. A retired Navy captain and senior research fellow at the Heritage Foundation calls the move highly provocative, as you mentioned, given the context of the war in Ukraine and tensions around Taiwan. Republican senators for Alaska, Dan Sullivan and Lisa Murkowski, say the patrol serves as a stark reminder of Alaska's proximity to both China and Russia, as well as the essential role the state plays in the national defense and territorial sovereignty. Sullivan also warns that it is yet just another reminder that we have entered a new era of authoritarian aggression led by the dictators in Beijing and Moscow. Now, both these senators are also encouraging senior military leaders to be ready with a more robust response should another Chinese and Russian naval operation occur. John?
All right. Correspondent Sarah Williamson. Sarah, thank you for that update. Appreciate it. And joining us now to discuss this and more is former Senior Naval Intelligence Officer John Jordan. John, great to see you. Also, former U.S. State Department spokesperson and U.S. Navy Reserve Officer Morgan Ortagus. Morgan is also founder of the Polaris National Security. Welcome to you both. John, quick, I want to start with you. As reported, the U.S. sent 4 naval destroyers to, monitor the movements of Russia and China ships. This coming just days after Russia's defense ministry shared video of the joint naval drills with China in the Bering Sea. They say in the maneuvers and missiles were fired at a mock target. The ships, from what I understand, have since left, but it's not only being called a historic move, but also highly provocative considering what's going on in Ukraine, China's involvement, also the potential for something in Taiwan. What's your take on this? Is this to send a message? What do you think?
Well, there's 2 parts to this, John. First of all, the Chinese and the Russians wanted to test the U.S. response. The last time they did something similar to this, we only sent a Coast Guard cutter. So they wanted to see what our response would be, air and sea-wise. And the second part of this is everything is connected in this world now. And what the Russians did when they ended the grain deal, they wanted to raise the cost to the West and to the world of continuing to support Ukraine. Similarly, here they want to constantly almost blackmail the West, or they make themselves seem strong and top of headlines to try to raise the perception of risk of continuing with Ukraine. So it's all part of a kabuki theater dance designed to raise the price and risk to the West of continuing to oppose China and Russia.
All right, and Morgan, speaking of China, you're worried about the United States' dependence on China for life-saving drugs. Growing say, quote, how in the world are we still letting this happen?
And yeah, you're right, Kimberly. I mean, when we look at the pharmaceuticals, let's just say if the balloon went up, well, which happens both literally and figuratively, if the balloon went up and there was a military incursion over Taiwan, and if America was forced to get involved, we have something like 95, 97% of our penicillin we still get it from China, so they could cut that off. And what we've seen under the Biden administration is not an effort from a supply chain perspective to bring those crucial things back, those crucial productions of our pharmaceuticals back to the United States. Instead, it appears that it has been growing exponentially. And so you can't be serious about countering, Kimberly, as you know very well, the Chinese Communist Party, if you are making yourself even more and more vulnerable. And it's not just pharmaceuticals, by the way. It's also this green energy push, all of the components that go into electric vehicles, many components of green energy writ large, we get from the Chinese Communist Party. This makes no sense to make ourselves dependent from an energy perspective and from a healthcare perspective on China.
No, it's really it's a national security threat, quite frankly. And the article from Nikkei states, quote, the U.S. imported $6.95 billion worth of pharmaceuticals from China in 2022, and that's up more than eightfold. Think about that, from 820 million the year before. I mean, this really is the essence, quite frankly, of a national security risk.
And we also, you're absolutely right, it's a massive national security risk. It will factor into our decision making if we can't even get involved militarily in Taiwan. You also see, Kimberly, the China Committee led by Representative Gallagher in the House. This is a bipartisan commission. They have opened an investigation into BlackRock. And what you're seeing, this is a major American investment firm that is essentially investing in companies and entities in mainland China that are a part of strengthening and building up the capacity of the people of the PLA, of the People's Liberation Army. So today in America, you can see American companies, American consulting firms like McKinsey, for example, BlackRock, which is being investigated, an investment firm. They are doing business with both the DoD, the Department of Defense, and with the Chinese PLA. Now, how does that make any sense, Kimberly? How can you do business with both?
Yeah,
a lot of conflict.
Yeah, and of course, as we know, the chemicals used to make fentanyl, the bulk, come from China. Hey, John, one quick final question, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. If I am, oh well.
Like he's bracing himself.
It has to do with UFOs, or UAPs as they're called, but not necessarily little green people and men from Mars, not people, but little green aliens from Mars. So military pilots, I don't know if you've heard about this, training in restricted air combat zones in Arizona have reported encounters with a string of mysterious and often intrusive unidentified objects. And it's apparently been happening for several years. There's been a report, an uptick in these things. It's sounding, though, and looking like they may be drones and possibly from our adversaries testing out this new technology, which would make sense. I'm not sure if you've heard about that. Or what your thoughts are on that. I mean, certainly we're seeing drones and the use of drones in the war in Ukraine increasingly.
Yeah, well, you've known me for 15 years, and I knew you were going to finally do something like this to me on TV. So just so I'm prepared, I did come prepared for this story. And as you know, John, I've been a pilot for 30 years. I'm a licensed flight instructor, holding an airline transport pilot certificate, and about 10,000 hours and 3,000 hours or more in citations and Gulfstream. So I'm well aware of what is up there and out there, and live in the Southwest and fly in that area all the time. There is a lot of sensitive airspace in and around, especially Nevada and more Utah, less so in Arizona. And I got to tell you that I struggle with the idea that these are foreign drones. Maybe there are others, optical phenomena and all that, but just the mechanics of how a foreign power would get a drone into Arizona, which is an inland state, and why they would be there, because there isn't as much sensitive airspace as there is, say, the Dugway Proving Grounds in Utah, which is highly sensitive, the Tonopah Test Range in Nevada, Groom Lake, Nevada. Right. So I don't know what this is, but I am actually very skeptical that this is foreign drones. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me in terms of the how they would do it or the why they would do it.
Great point. So the mystery continues.
You're going to get a lot of UFO emails now.
Yeah, I know. Going a little,
Morgan, what did you say, hon?
I vote for aliens. I totally think it's aliens.
Exactly.
Absolutely for aliens. You're
not alone. Hey, more to come, right? We'll have you back on when we start hearing more about these UAPs.
Exactly.
John Jordan, Morgan Ortagus, thank you. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
My pleasure.
You got it.